Take a walk in the woods with Mac Pritchard, and you can be assured of two things. Mac will take a picture. Or two.
Over the years, I bet I've shot 100,000 photos. Oh, that's pretty.
And the walk will come with some talk.
Pawpaw, Chief Powell of the Cherokee, said this had strong medicine. It sure has a strong smell.
Since before he was old enough to drive, Mac Pritchard has been a voice crying out for the wilderness.
When I was 15, I guess I made my first lecture to an Arkansas Rotary Club. They were about to bulldoze the park in Indian Mound, and went over there and talked to those guys. My daddy drove me over there, and after I thought I blew it, but afterwards one of them came up and said, "Boy, you're right, they're not making any more Indian Mounds. I'll just give them some dirt from somewhere else on my farm." He gave the site to the state, and I thought, that's what I want to do.
50 years later, he's still doing it as Tennessee State Naturalist Emeritus.
I finally looked up emeritus. It means that you work for free. And so, but you know, when you enjoy what you're doing, what the heck?
Mac hasn't always worked for free. A summer job leading hikes and nature talks at Shelby Forest as a teenager grew into a 46-year career as an archaeologist and naturalist.
I'm not a scientist. I'm a person that knows a little bit about a lot of things. And I know a lot of people who know more, and I know where to call them, so that's helpful. I worked sometimes 7 days a week, but it was work in the fields of the Lord. And when you see stuff that will outlast you, then you know that that's the reward for what you've been doing.
The stuff that will outlast him can be found all across our state. Places like Reeder Falls, the Stone Door, Devil's Step Hollow, Black Mountain, Radnor Lake, and many more.
A lot of our state parks owe their origin to Mac Pritchard. In the 1960s, Governor Frank Clement got appropriation for buying more parkland because he thought it was a good idea. And he took Mac aside and said,
"Mac, hit the road, find the last of the best places, and let's see if we can get the money to save them." The governor went to the legislature and said, "Tourists are easier to pick than a bale of cotton and worth more." And with that, they passed a $5 million bond issue, and we bought a dozen state parks. When I went to a conference in Wisconsin in '64, a professor there found I was from the state of Tennessee, and he said, "What are you doing to save Savage Gulf and May Prairie?" And well, I hadn't heard about either one at that point, but I got busy.
And he stayed busy, working to save places like Savage Gulf.
I went to the owner, and the owner of Savage Gulf, Virgin Timber, said, "I want those big trees to reseed the whole plateau." But he said, "You gotta hurry, because the taxes are eating me up." And so we did, we bought it.
Talking with anyone who would listen about the wild things he loved.
Mac can speak to any group, to any person, and put it in knowledge that we can all understand.
Getting people involved in his crusade for conservation.
he had a hand in just about every environmental organization in the state of Tennessee. I mean, the Nature Conservancy, the Audubon Society, Parks and Greenways Foundation.
Co-founder of Tennessee Trails, Scenic Rivers, Sierra Club.
A lot of ideas that he came up with, like the Cumberland Trail, are coming to fruition.
Bring up the name of any place in Tennessee. Matt can tell you the history, and he can tell you what he was doing to help it.
When we started work here, we used a crew from Jolton Reformatory who volunteered to come down and help us build trail. I think it built boys as well as trail.
Any significant factor that has need for preservation, Mac's going to be there. I've seen him get all worked up over waterfalls, Indian mounds, cave drawings, places that if you stood there, just kind of take your breath because it was so beautiful.
Beauty preserved also by his passion for pictures.
He told me a long time ago, always carry a camera because there are moments that are going to happen that will never happen again. And if you're there with a camera, you can capture those moments. And I've tried to do that. And he has done that.
Hundreds of thousands of shutter clicks, boxes and boxes of slides. Images that always come with a story.
One night I was calling. We were carrying on a great conversation. All at once, out of nowhere, came the mate, the bigger bird, that popped him so hard the feathers flew. One of the reasons I've done these slideshows is getting out to meet people. And almost every case, we've not been able to save a park or wildlife area without some local people who picked up the cause and ran with it.
Those that know him understand that Mac is, well, a rare gem.
He was a really special guy. I was working as a seasonal naturalist. Mac was doing the training, so that was my first introduction to him. At first I thought, well, this man's just nuts. And then later on it was confirmed.
Mac is a character. He's amazing.
and a never-ending story.
He was on his way to give a slideshow in Chattanooga, and he had all day to get there. But he went down into the Fiery Gizzard and walked around looking at all the plants and stuff and started running late. So he rushed out. Instead of walking the trail out, he came out the sideway. But the sideway led into someone's yard.
There was a log cabin, and there was a little lady sitting on the porch.
She said, well, yeah, you can go ahead now. But if you're studying plants, there's a really interesting plant here on the side of the yard. Look at that. That's called the Indian turnip.
I reached down and dug out what she called Jack in the Pulpit.
So he bit into it.
Oh, God, that was a mistake.
He had been set on fire. So he started spitting, trying to get it out of his mouth.
And I looked over at her, and she was just bowled over laughing at me.
Ma'am, why did you do that?
And she said, well, if you'd have asked me, I would have told you they're supposed to boil it first.
Yeah, the man's nuts. I love him.
And we all should probably love him, not just for what he's done, but for the ways his life continues to touch so many.
How do you say thanks to a guy like Mac Pritchard? I mean, for me personally, for what he's done for the state.
I think Mac Pritchard is Tennessee's John Muir, and I think we all owe him a debt of gratitude.
Mac's legacy is these wonderful parks that we have. The quality of life in Tennessee is better because of his work.
Well, I hope that I've been able to make a difference in my career. I was only doing my job, actually. It's a great state. It's a great mission, and may our tribe increase.
I'm Ken Tucker on Tennessee's Wild Side.